Hello, everybody. This is Gary Matheny. Welcome to today's edition of Liberty Observatory. Today, we're going to talk about white South Africans. As we all know, South Africa practiced apartheid for many years. And probably, 20, 25 years ago, apartheid was eventually eliminated in South Africa. You had, of course, native blacks, who you might call the indigenous people, and then you had the English or the German Boers, people that had been on the land for several hundred years, primarily farming the land. So it took a while for it to gain momentum. But I imagine about 10 years or so ago, the white South Africans started losing their farms. Now, there was no compensation and really no bureaucracy associated with it that required due process. People would just come in and take their farms and run the whites off. And every once in a while, they had some violent activity go on between the white South African landowners or farmers and the black South Africans who were more socialistic in their approach that the whites should not own property in South Africa. After all, it's colonialism. Well, there are certain things that occur because nothing occurs without consequences. And so what happened when the white farmers were driven off of their farms, farm production went down, which decreased the nutrition of the South African people. And so it sounded all good at a certain level that we get South Africans who are black to run South African farms. But for whatever reason, they don't seem to be as good of farmers as the white South Africans. I'm not going to speculate about that, but production went down, starvation went up, and that was all pretty much everybody rolled with it, at least everybody here in the USA. A lot of people didn't like the idea that the white South Africans were not compensated for their farms, but that's the way life is. But then within the last few years, it's become violent against white South Africans. You can go on YouTube and find video of long lines of crosses of white South Africans who have been killed in this murder spree. And there are now wholesale rallies that are occurring in South Africa among the blacks. I'm talking about there where there's 10,000 or more people who are chanting or yelling death to the whites, death to the white South Africans. And so it's gone a long way to where 10, 12, 15 years ago the white South Africans started losing their farms, and now they are starting to lose their life. And so over the last couple years or so, they have been wanting to immigrate to the USA, asylum seekers. And the USA is accepting many or most of the white South Africans as asylum seekers because they no longer feel safe in their native land, South Africa. And so basically, we've opened the door to white South Africans, but not without criticism. The criticism comes mostly from the left, who basically saying, why are we so generous with white South Africans and so selfish with South Americans? You know, the huge number of millions, literally, of people that immigrated over the last, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years into America from South America. Why have we shut that down? And yet we're generous with the white South Africans. And that raises the specter of racism. Well, the reason the white South Africans come in to the country is because they're white. And the reason that South Americans aren't coming into the country right now is because they are people of color. You know, when you're on your left, you always look at race. You know, there's always a race card to be played in the midst of anything that is of a political issue or debate. But let's talk a moment about asylum seekers. There is a law relating to asylum seekers. And in the United States, apparently we have millions of people from South America that are asylum seekers, and they want their hearing to seek asylum. And yet, if you look at the countries in South America, yeah, there's poverty, and yeah, there's difficulty, but they don't have an imminent crisis that necessitates the rush for asylum seekers. Let's just say in Brazil, a huge nuclear bomb explosion, and it's displacing literally millions of people. And they may come to the United States and be asylum seekers. Well, you can see how that may be asylum seekers, you know, because something terrible is happening in South America and people need to get out. And so we're talking about more than just poverty and difficulty and struggles within the democratic process. We're talking about a crisis. And so, so if you have a crisis, you have the right to be an asylum seeker. And that's what the South Africans are doing. They're asylum seekers into the USA. Now, I saw some video of a few of those, and they were coming in the airport waving American flags. Oh, they don't know how much they're irritating the American left when you show up at the America's borders and start waving American flag. You know, probably if they wave Palestinian flags, that they'd be embraced by the left. But the fact that they show up waving an American flag nauseates the American left. So I hope I made a distinction here, trying to draw out what is an asylum seeker. Not all immigrants are asylum seekers. There needs to be some type of crisis which is driving them out of their country, and they can only be admitted with due process. It's not just a matter of showing up at our door and saying, hey, I'm an asylum seeker. They have to go through some type of process to confirm that. Well, everybody, have a good day and God bless you. And this concludes the remarks on the white South Africans.